Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of the Roundabout Way of Fate. This will be part 24, chapter 16, entitled The Vent. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Izuku blearily blinks his eyes open, confused when he notices the room is still dark. Something is making the bed vibrate, and it takes him a moment to realize that it's coming from his phone underneath his pillow. Sighing, he grabs it and brings it close to his face, grimacing when the bright light from his screen threatens to blind him. When he's finally able to see who's calling, he's only even more confused. Ida is the one that's calling him. The blue-haired boy had insisted that everyone exchange phone numbers a couple of weeks ago, but he's never called Izuku before. At 11 p.m., no less. They're friends, of course, but they're not exactly close. Izuku's even more surprised to see that he already has 2 missed calls from the boy. Worry claws at his heart as he sits up, carefully extracting himself from Kachan's grip, which is much more lax now that the blonde is asleep. Picking up the call, he presses the phone close to his ear and whispers, "Ida-kun, is everything all right?" "Midoriya-kun," Ida shouts, causing Izuku to wince. "Midoriya-kun, oh thank God. I apologize deeply for calling you so late, but..." He lets out a choked noise, and Izuku straightens up in concern. "Ida-kun," he asks. "Ida-kun, what's wrong?" Behind him, Kachan lets out an annoyed grumble as he stirs. Izuku barely notices, suddenly a lot more awake than before. He's never heard Ida sound so distraught before. "Midoriya-kun, it's... Ida's breath hitches before he wails. "It's Nissan. It's my Nissan. He got attacked by the hero killer." "What?" Izuku exclaims, his mind whirling. Kachan sits up and leans against his shoulder, frowning as he listens. "Ida-kun, what are you talking about?" Ida's response is barely intelligible. He was on patrol and he got attacked and I'm in the hospital with him now, but..." "Four Eyes' brother?" Kachan grunts, arching a brow. "He's a hero, isn't he?" Izuku nods. Pretty much everyone in the class found out about Ida's family of heroes when Uraraka couldn't keep her mouth shut about it. So, if it's Ida's brother, then he must be talking about Ingenium. He got attacked by the hero killer. Izuku hasn't been able to keep up with the news that well during the past week, but he's heard that a particular villain has been causing trouble for the heroes lately. Ida-kun, Izuku says, trying to keep his voice steady. "I need you to calm down. Please, tell me what's going on." Ida gasps for breath. It sounds like he's been crying for a long time. "Tensei ni. He's paralyzed." His voice shatters when he says this. Izuku tenses up, and Kachan hisses. That villain got him, and he can't move. His hero career is over, but... Oh, Midoriya-kun, could you heal him?" "Huh? Me?" Izuku startles. You said you've healed big injuries." Ida swallows audibly, clearly trying to compose himself. You regrew a stomach before, didn't you?" Izuku shrinks slightly, anxiety clawing at his chest. I don't know, Ida-kun. I've never healed a spine before. Please, Midoriya-kun." Ida is practically begging now. "None of the healers here can do anything for him. If anyone could heal him, it's you." Izuku's breath catches in his throat. Tears start pricking at the edges of his eyes, but he forces himself to remain calm. "Ida-kun, even if I could heal him, I'm not allowed to. I'm still in training, and I need a license before I'm able to use my quirk on pro heroes. Ida lets out another choked noise of dismay, and Izuku hastens to reassure him. But I'll talk to Recovery Girl in the morning, okay? Maybe we can figure something out, or I don't know, but we'll fix this, all right? It'll be okay. Okay? Ida inhales shakily and says, Okay, thank you, and again, I'm sorry for calling you so late. Don't worry about it, Ida-kun, Izuku says. Just stay calm and try to get some sleep. You've had a long day. He doubts Ida will listen to him, but he hangs up soon after anyways. Then, he turns to Kachan, who was silent the entire time. I guess that's why he had to leave the festival early, the blonde muses. Izuku sighs, rubbing his forehead tiredly. The sudden dump of information and emotions is a lot to process when he's still half asleep. Poor Ida-kun. I mean, paralysis would be horrible for any hero but Ingenium. He's a speedster too, isn't he? Kachan asks, and he nods. Who is this hero killer anyway? Kachan flops back down on the bed, and after a moment, Izuku lies beside him. Haven't you been paying attention to the news? He grumbles. Guy calls himself Stain. Apparently he's killed like 17 heroes and injured a bunch of other ones. Izuku's eyes widen. I bet Ingenium was trying to go after him. That's horrible, Izuku murmurs. His friend grunts. Yeah, well, you'll call Recovery Girl in the morning. He grabs Izuku again and pulls him close. No point in worrying about it now. Get back to sleep. The freckled boy squirms. Unlike before, he's no longer pressed against his chest. Instead, Kachan is curled around his back, being the perfect definition of the big spoon. Izuku huffs. You're being awfully cuddly tonight. Shut the fuck up. Despite his fatigue, he doesn't end up sleeping too well during the rest of the night. Kachan snores like a motorboat behind him, growling in irritation when Izuku wiggles out of his arms as soon as morning arrives. He quietly steps out of his house before calling Recovery Girl. He quickly informs her the situation, but she already knows. She seems annoyed that Ida called him last night and tells him that she's going to visit Ingenium as soon as she can. But could I? He starts to ask. His mentor sighs, as if she was expecting this, and says, You know you can't. Even if you did have a license, I wouldn't let you heal an injury like that until you got better control over your quirk. It was very inappropriate for Ida-kun to ask that of you. Izuku feels a flash of defensiveness on behalf of his classmate. He was just upset. I probably would have done the same if I were in his situation. I know, Recovery Girl says. But still, you have the next 2 days off. Enjoy them. Leave this to me for now. Izuku reluctantly agrees and hangs up. After a moment of deliberation, he pulls up his messaging app and texts Ida, apologizing for his inability to help, but promising to work hard and get his quirk licensed as soon as possible so he can try to help Tensei. Ida doesn't reply, but it's still early in the morning and the boy has no doubt had a rough night, so Izuku doesn't worry about it. As soon as he pockets his phone, he hears the door open behind him. Oi, dumbass, don't come out here all by yourself, Kachan growls. Ignoring the twinge of annoyance his words cause, Izuku says, I was just calling Recovery Girl. Didn't want to wake anyone up. Kachan grumbles unintelligibly in response and comes up behind him, hooking his chin over his shoulder as he lets out a drowsy huff. So, what's the deal? Can't do anything without a license. Izuku sighs. Thought so. Kachan hums. Then, after a moment, his arms wrap around Izuku's middle and pull him flush against his chest. Izuku frowns. Apparently, Kachan's strange behavior isn't over yet. Not that Izuku's opposed to cuddling, but cuddling is supposed to feel relaxing. And this doesn't feel very relaxing. It feels more like Kachan is trying to keep him from running away. It bothers him a little, but he ignores it in favor of wiggling out of Kachan's grip and going inside to make breakfast. The rest of the morning is rather boring. Izuku is mostly just lounging, trying to regain the rest of his strength back after yesterday's ordeal. He brushes Sushi's fur and watches some TV with Kachan until the blonde suggests playing video games in the afternoon. He's in the middle of a round of Super Smash Bros. When his phone buzzes beside him on the couch. He glances over briefly, and Kachan takes advantage of his distraction by punching the Mewtwo off the platform. The blonde snickers, while he huffs and grabs his phone. Todoroki, 1:15 p.m. Hello. Izuku blinks in surprise. Todoroki is texting him? Hi, what's up? Kachan complains loudly, and he reluctantly turns back to the game. But curiosity makes it hard to focus, and he loses their next match within 2 minutes. At the same time, Todoroki texts back. I visited my mother this morning. Izuku almost drops his phone in shock. That was very out of the blue. He isn't quite sure how to respond at first. Oh, wow. How did it go? Come on, Zuku. Kachan glares at his phone. Who the hell are you texting anyways? Izuku waves him off dismissively, watching as the typing bubble appears for a few moments, then disappears. It reappears and disappears a couple more times before he finally gets a response. Can we meet up somewhere? Now? If you're not busy. Zuku, Kachan gripes, waving his controller in his face. Come on, are we playing or not? Actually, Todoroki-kun wants to meet up so we can chat, Izuku says, putting down his controller as he types out his response. A particularly nasty growl from Kachan has him pausing and looking up. The blonde looks pissed. Since when are you two fucking friends? Since... Izuku trails off, suddenly nervous. I don't know, since whenever. He and Todoroki never really hung out before the sports festival, which Kachan knows since he spends so much time with Izuku, so the fact that they want to hang out now probably looks suspicious. Kachan huffily turns back to the TV. Well, tell him you're fucking resting or some shit. Izuku frowns. But I want to go see him. Why? To talk. He throws his hands up in the air. You can talk over the phone, Kachan says dismissively and unpauses the game. You should be Samus next. I'm not playing anymore, Kachan. The spark of indignation returns. He pushes his controller aside and gets off the couch. I'm going to go hang out with Todoroki-kun. Suddenly, a hand snatches his wrist in a vice grip. No, you're fucking not. Kachan snaps, jumping to his feet. Izuku tenses up as soon as he grabs him. His training kicks in and he twists out of the other's grip, stumbling back a few steps and turning to fully face him. Kachan glares at him with crimson eyes, muscles tense and hackles raised, looking as if he's 1 second away from pouncing. Kachan, Izuku says warningly. Are you not letting me leave? Yes, no. Kachan cuts himself off, then lets out a frustrated noise. Just fuck it. I'm coming with you then. He takes a step towards him, but Izuku steps back. I don't want you to come with me. Why not? The blonde snaps, reaching for him again. Because. A hand closes around his forearm again. Izuku tries to twist away again, but Kachan doesn't release his grip, instead moving closer and grabbing his other wrist too. Let me go, Kachan. Why don't you want me coming with you? Kachan demands, stepping even closer and crowding his space as Izuku continues to struggle against him. Because you'll freaking argue with him all the time, Izuku snaps, then shoves the other boy with his shoulder. Let me go! Kachan pushes right back. No! Izuku tries to wrench his wrists out of his grip, and the blonde bares his teeth in a snarl. You little fucking stop! Let me go! Izuku snaps again, then yelps when Kachan suddenly yanks him so close their chests nearly collide. But as soon as he's pulled closer, he's shoved back again by Kachan's shoulder, only this time the boy's foot is hooked around the back of his ankle. Izuku squeaks when he loses his balance, and Kachan uses his grip on his wrists to twist him to the side, forcing him back down onto the couch. The blonde pounces on top of him, attempting to pin him to the cushion, and Izuku's heart leaps to his throat in panic. Kachan! He cries out, thrashing in his grip. Kachan's fingers tighten painfully around his wrists, his crimson eyes narrowed to pinpricks in fury. Stop it! He snarls, trying to force him onto his back while the smaller boy struggles against him. Stop fucking squirming! For all of Kachan's aggressiveness, he's hardly ever truly rough with Izuku, so maybe that's why a stab of fear goes through him now. And the next thing he knows, they're wrestling. Except it isn't playful or even for training. Kachan is really angry, and Izuku has no idea why. He tries to push him off, to give himself space so he can scramble away, but the angle is bad, and Katsuki is a lot stronger than him. He forces his arms back down with a snarl and pins his wrists on either side of his head. Izuku kicks his leg out and attempts to flip him with a jerk of his hips, but Katsuki is stubborn and jams his knee into his hip a couple of times in retaliation until he stops trying to flip him, then presses his knees down on either side of his thighs to keep him from moving. Izuku squirms breathlessly, but Kachan is heavy weight on top of him, impossible to move. Finally, he falls still, breathing heavily as he glares up at Kachan above him. The blonde stares at him with wild eyes, panting slightly. Then, in a low voice, he says, I'm not letting you go alone. You need protection. Protection? Izuku exclaims in disbelief. That's what you're worried about. He rolls his eyes, scoffing in exasperation. Just Kachan being overprotective as always. Geez, don't worry, I'll be safe. I'll be with Todoroki-kun. He means to appease his friend, but if anything, he only makes him angrier. The grip on his wrist tightens painfully. Why the fuck would you rather hang out with that icy hot fucker than me? Kachan snarls at his face. What's he got that I don't? Is it 'cause he beat me in every fucking game? Is it 'cause of that shiny new first-place medal, huh? Kachan! Izuku's eyes widen in shock. Well, fuck him! Kachan shrieks. I don't give a shit that he won this time, and I don't give a shit that he won on the first day either, or that he's a recommendation student, or that he's the son of the number 2 hero, 'cause I'm gonna be number 1. I'm gonna be the strongest fucking hero there is, and I'll wipe the floor with his ass. Izuku gulps as those wild eyes glare heatedly down at him. And I'll kill any villain that tries to lay a hand on you. So if you think that you'll be safer with that fucker than with me, you're dead wrong. I'm gonna be better than that piece of shit, just you wait. His chest heaves as he pants heavily after his rant. Izuku stares at him, stunned. Silence fills the room. The memory of Kachan's voice whispers in the back of his mind. I'm going to be strong enough for you. I promise. Izuku blinks. Oh, he's... Kachan, he says quietly. You know you're enough, right? Kachan scowls. The fuck do you mean? I mean... He tries to wiggle his wrists, but Kachan won't let him go, his grip instead tightening even further. Izuku hesitates. I mean, you're good enough. For me. He presses his lips together and gazes up at his friend. Do you Do you really think that I would prefer Todoroki-kun over you because you lost? He can't keep the hurt out of his voice. How could Kachan think so little of him? The blonde is quiet for a few moments, jaw clenched. Then, it would make sense. I lost to him. I keep losing to him. He's stronger than me. He bites out the words as if they're physically painful to say, and, knowing Kachan, they probably are. His throat bobs as he swallows. He'd be a better hero for you. He'd keep you safe. You keep me safe, Izuku insists, but Kachan just scoffs. Not well enough to keep you from getting attacked by a bunch of fucking reporters, or keep you from getting nearly kidnapped and sold for your quirk. His voice quivers ever so slightly, and he squeezes his eyes shut. Fuck, I couldn't even keep you safe from me. I just keep failing. Kachan, stop it. Izuku protests. You're fine. You're perfect. Trust me, I would get into a lot more trouble if I didn't have you around. He gives him a solemn look. We're still learning, remember? Don't you remember what I said back during our first hero lesson? You're going to fail, and that's all right. That's part of life, and I won't think any less of you for doing so. It just means you're going to grow even stronger from then on. Katsuki doesn't look convinced. Icy hot. Todoroki-kun is going to fail too, Izuku interrupts, deciding to ignore the rude nickname for now. I know it may not seem like it right now, but he will eventually. He's a 15-year-old boy just like the rest of us, and he came to UA to learn, just like the rest of us too. You can't learn without making some mistakes along the way. Katsuki opens his mouth to say something, then closes it, mouth pressed into a line of displeasure. His expression is still tense, but his jaw looks less tight than before. Izuku takes it as his cue to continue. And you shouldn't compare yourself to him like that. Yeah, he's really strong, and he might be stronger than you now, but you're plenty strong too. And I know you're going to get stronger than ever now that we're in UA. He rolls his eyes and playfully cocks his head to the side. You're the most bull-headed, stubborn person I know, Kachan. If you said you're going to be Todoroki-kun, chances are it's going to happen sooner or later. Kachan huffs, and his grip on Izuku's wrists finally eases up slightly. Izuku slips out of his grasp and slides his hands up to his arms comfortingly. He can feel the power and strength in his friend's hard muscles, along with all the stress and tension as well. His lips press together. And, he adds in a gentler voice, because he knows how important being his protector is to Kachan. I know you think you're the only thing standing between me and villains, but you're not. We're in UA, surrounded by some of the best heroes in the country. We have All Might as our teacher. He smiles, letting a little awe seep into his voice before he sobers up again. And we have friends now, strong friends that are going to be great heroes too. You should trust in their ability to keep me safe. I do. Kachan wrinkles his nose, then glances away with a low growl. I still don't like that icy hot fucker. Izuku gives him a deadpanned look. Well, sorry, but I'm allowed to hang out with people other than you. And just because I want to spend time with Todoroki-kun today, doesn't mean that I suddenly hate you. Or think that you're inferior, or whatever you were implying. I'm not hanging out with him because I think he's better than you. I'm hanging out with him because I like making new friends. Kachan scowls. Izuku decides to take a little pity on him. But you'll always be my best friend. He smiles brightly. Kachan squints and grumbles under his breath before begrudgingly leaning back with a huff. Fucking whatever, then, he grunts as he gets off him, shoving his hands into his pockets. Just one condition. He's got to come pick you up. I don't want you walking alone. Izuku rolls his eyes and sits up, relieved to be free of Kachan's suffocating weight. Yes, Your Highness, he says sarcastically. turning to search for his phone. Unsurprisingly, it had fallen to the floor during their scuffle, and he sighs in relief when he sees it's undamaged. Sorry for the late response, but yeah, I'm down to hang out now. Do you mind picking me up at my place? Kachan's being an overprotective butt, and he doesn't want me going by myself. Sure. What's your address? Izuku texts it to him, and then, after a moment, texts his mother as well, letting her know that he's going out. He's glad that she had to leave earlier to take Sushi to the vet, otherwise they both would have been witness to his little argument with Kachan. As he types, he calls out, Hey, why don't you hang out with Kirishima-kun while I'm gone? You like him, don't you? Kachan wrinkles his nose. I don't fucking like anyone. A pause, then. And who the fuck is Kirishima? Izuku looks up. Are you kidding me? We hang out with him every day. The blonde frowns as if it's actually taking a lot of work to remember. Then he blinks. Oh, you mean shitty hair. Oh my god, Kachan. You are hopeless. He pulls up another chat. Hey, could you do me a huge favor? Anything, bro. Can you invite Kachan out somewhere? I want to hang out with Todoroki-kun, and Kachan's being annoying about it. Sure thing. Todoroki arrives at his house 20 minutes later. It's strange to see him in civilian clothes, but even stranger to see him without the usual cold look in his eyes. He greets Izuku with a faint smile, and doesn't even seem to mind when Kachan outright growls at him, demanding that he bring Izuku back in one piece. The blonde then proceeds to glare at him the entire time as they leave. Sorry about Kachan. Izuku apologizes as he walks beside Todoroki. He's been a bit grumpy ever since the sports festival. Todoroki nods, then glances over his shoulder before looking back at him. I'm a bit confused. I know that you guys walk to school together, but does he live with you too? Oh no, that's not it. Izuku waves his hands. We just live on the same street, so he comes over often. Ah, Todoroki hums. There's a brief pause, then he adds. He seems to be very protective of you. Izuku winces, recalling how Kachan had practically snarled at anyone, Todoroki especially, who got too close to him after the sports festival. Heck, he didn't even allow him to heal the rest of Todoroki's injuries. Yeah, he says. He has his reasons, though. How are you feeling today, by the way? He eyes the large bandage on the boy's cheek. I'm fine. Todoroki looks at him. What are his reasons? Huh? His reasons, the other boy repeats. For being so protective. Forgive me for being rude, but I don't think I'm the only one who's noticed the way he treats you. He acts like he's constantly expecting someone to snatch you away from him. Like you can't defend yourself. He glances away. I thought our sparring match proved to everyone that you can certainly put up a good fight, despite being a healer. Izuku pauses, considering his answer. Well, we've been friends basically since we were babies. Kachan's always been really strong, especially after he got his quirk, and when mine manifested, I guess it kinda just made sense for him to protect me. Healing quirks are pretty rare, and they're sought after by both heroes and villains. Todoroki nods, as if this is something he's already aware of, and Izuku assumes that he must know about the incident with his father's healer. Still, he hesitates to continue. Todoroki has already told him incredibly personal things about him. It's only fair that he reciprocates. But I guess it only really got bad after... Well, there was this one time I almost got kidnapped by villains. Todoroki's eyes widen slightly. I was hanging out with Kachan and some friends, and the villains lured me into an empty alley and put me in a bag." He trails off, curling into himself slightly, at the fear the memory brings. Uh, they wanted to sell me for my quirk, but Aizawa-sensei saved me. And ever since then, Kachan's just been super paranoid about me being taken again. And that paranoia kind of bleeds into our school life, so I'm sorry that he's a bit aggressive towards people sometimes, but it's not coming from a mean place, I promise." He looks at Todoroki earnestly, and the other boy nods. He's quiet for a moment, then hums thoughtfully. "I guess I've misjudged him then." Izuku smiles, then huffs a little laugh. "This is actually kind of weird for me. Hanging out with you, I hardly go anywhere without Kachan." "This is kind of weird for me too," Todoroki agrees. "I don't really ever hang out with people." He looks so unsure and awkward that Izuku can't help but smile even wider. He gets the feeling that Todoroki isn't really cold, so much as socially inept. "I do wish he would trust me a bit more, though," he says conversationally. "I mean, I like to think I'm a decent fighter." "You are," Todoroki says. "Not good enough to beat you, though," Izuku points out. "Yeah, well," Todoroki shrugs. "You said you've been taking self-defense classes since you were 10, didn't you?" Izuku nods, surprised that he remembered that. "I've been training my entire life to be a pro hero, so it's not fair to compare yourself to me. Not many people would win against me." Izuku's lip twitches, and he's tempted to make a sarcastic comment about how humble Todoroki is, but the boy doesn't sound like he's trying to brag. More like he's simply stating a fact. Izuku is silent for a moment, then shakes his head. "Well, anyway, enough about me. What about you? You wanted to talk about your mother, didn't you?" He realizes that, thanks to Kachan, he hasn't been able to properly talk to Todoroki since he convinced him to use his fire, which is a huge deal that he's definitely going to ask about later, but one thing at a time. They've been walking for the past few minutes, so now they're just approaching a neighborhood park. Todoroki wordlessly leads him over to a bench and sits down beside him. "It went better than I thought it would," he says quietly. After the sports festival, I was still unsure about using my fire. My old man approached me afterwards and told me how proud he was that I had gotten over my childish tantrum. He sneers somewhat and frowns at the ground. It made me sick, but I realized that when I used my fire during the battle, I didn't think about him at all. All I could think about was you. He suddenly cuts himself off, pressing his lips together. Izuku tilts his head curiously, but he can't see the expression on the other boy's face since he turns it away slightly. After a moment, Todoroki clears his throat and continues. "So I thought I'd visit my mother at the hospital this morning. I never visited her before because I figured that my presence would put pressure on her. But I may have just been making excuses for myself. I thought, if I could just see her, talk to her, maybe try and fix things, then maybe it would be okay for me to be the hero I want to become." Izuku watches him quietly. He doesn't exactly know what that means, what kind of hero Todoroki wants to be. But the other boy seems to know exactly what he wants to aim for, so that's all that matters. "And?" he prompts gently. Todoroki smiles softly and looks at him. "She forgave me. She was even happy to see me. I told her everything, and she apologized for burning me and told me to move forward in my life without anything holding me back. That would be her salvation." Izuku beams at him, heart warming in his chest. So I will no longer let my father hold me back, Todoroki says resolutely. I won't let him control me, and I won't become someone as bitter and angry as him. That's wonderful, Todoroki-kun, he says. I'm so happy for you. Todoroki gazes at him. I would never have been able to do it if it hadn't been for you. Izuku blushes and starts to stammer out a protest, but Todoroki insists. No, really. If you hadn't said what you did, if you hadn't opened my eyes, nothing would have changed. I'd still be trapped by my father. So seriously, Midoriya. Thank you. He looks so earnest. It makes Izuku's heart jump. Still blushing furiously, he hides his face in his arms and squeaks. You're welcome. Todoroki tilts his head, blinking curiously. Are you okay? Your face is red. I'm fine. If you're not feeling well, then we can... I said I'm fine. Izuku frantically tries to change the subject. So what are you going to do now? I'm assuming you need to train your fire. I mean, since you didn't use it for so long. Todoroki pauses and then nods. They talk about school for a bit after that, about how Todoroki might train his fire quirk and how Izuku is currently training his own quirk. Izuku finds that talking with Todoroki is a lot different than talking with Kachan, who usually leads the conversation. Not to say that he doesn't ever listen to Izuku, but the Greenette is finding that Todoroki is more than happy to sit back and let him talk enough for the both of them, occasionally commenting or giving his input here and there. It's different, but nice. Izuku regrets not having befriended him sooner, although he supposes that Todoroki has changed a lot since the first week of school. The conversation eventually turns to Ingenium when Izuku's phone lights up with a notification of a news story reporting his near-fatal encounter with the hero killer. He admits to Todoroki about Ida calling him the previous night, expressing his worry over their vice-class president. Todoroki seems rather disturbed too, although he doesn't show it very much. You're friends with Ida, aren't you? Oh, sort of. We're friendly with each other, but we don't really hang out much, Izuku says. Didn't you team up with him during the cavalry battle? Todoroki nods. Yeah. He seems passionate. I just hope he doesn't turn it against the hero killer. Izuku frowns. What do you mean? Well, he probably holds a lot of resentment towards him, Todoroki points out, for effectively ending his brother's hero career. Izuku winces. Do you think he'll, I don't know, do something? Todoroki shrugs cluelessly. I'm not sure. I don't know him well enough. I just know that anger can make you do stupid things. His tone is all too knowing. Izuku gulps, and the hard rock in the pit of his stomach returns. Only this time, his anxiety isn't for Todoroki. His phone suddenly vibrates in his pocket, distracting him from his thoughts. Startling, Izuku takes it out and blinks at the message Kirishima sends him. Obliterated. The text is followed by a picture of Kirishima and Kachan, the former flashing a grin and a thumbs up, while the latter demolishes an ice cream cone. And despite his worry, Izuku can't help but smile. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 16 of The Roundabout Way of Fate. Chapter 17 will be up next. Would love to hear your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking about this chapter. Continued development, right? Some of those unhealthy behavioral patterns between Izuku and Kachan, right? Some of those ways that Kachan's behaviors are coming out, the possessiveness, the overprotectiveness, right? And the fact that Izuku and Todoroki's Friendship is developing there too, some development with Kirishima and Katsuki. So, a lot of things taking place throughout this chapter following the sports festival. Let me know your thoughts though. And of course, the fic is located on AO3. So, if you have an opportunity, you can always leave some comments, kudos, some support to the original author as well. I'm sure that's much appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.